Hello all, this is the sixth video in the series on the Laugh of the Medusa. Let me continue reading. Now women return from afar, from always, from without, from the heath where witches are kept alive, from below, from beyond, culture, from their childhood which men have been trying desperately to make them forget, condemning it to eternal rest. The little girls and their ill-mannered bodies immured, I-M-M-U-R-E-D, it means imprisoned, well preserved, intact unto themselves in the mirror. So here again she talks about the attempt on the part of the women. If taken, if made, any attempt made, but how men folk with their different turns, different takes and turns, they try to bring them back to the former stage of passive acceptance of their lot, within quotes. That is the lot, that stoic resignation to their lot. These people try to bring them back to that state. So this is again your childhood. Maybe that might have been very enthusiastic, but they do not want you to remember that, or they wanted to take it as an eternal rest. That is over. Now you are woman and you are supposed to be like this or that. So the little girls and their ill-mannered bodies immured, well preserved, intact unto themselves in the mirror. So we know how much restrictions are imposed upon women on behalf of their different bodily features, and that itself is their weapon for making them imprisoned in this sector, the patriarchal norms or the patriarchal system. So frigified, that's what the term she uses. In frigified, then that full stop, that means it's a kind of freezing. You are frozen from the very root and from the very beginning. Your childhood memories even are denied to you, and you are then in the process of the socialization or the kind of acceptance. So frigified you are, but are they ever seething underneath? What an effort it takes, there's no end to it, for the sex corps to bar their threatening return. Such a display of forces on both sides that the struggle has for the centuries been immobilized in the trembling equilibrium of a deadlock. So this is again an attempt, a kind of an effort on both sides. On one part, the women they are trying to come forward at any cost. Some of them at least have tried, may have begun attempting to try, have started attempting to move forward, but at the same time simultaneously there is another side which is trying to pull them back to the former state of passivity. So this is again a kind of effort for the sex corps to bar their threatening return. So that is the point. It is a threatening return. Once women start realizing their real potential, that of course obviously will be a threat to the established norms of patriarchy that has its own agendas. So that is why they are trying hard and fast. That's why they are trying that with that much effort to bring them or pull them down. So such a display of forces on both sides that the struggle has for centuries been immobilized. This is the reason why we have been witnessing the struggle, the attempt on the part of women to come forward. But that remains as just as a struggle or an immobility there that is sensed there because of the same reason. Yes, they make the attempt, but they are pushed back, and so there is a force exerted from behind, far behind, so that they cannot make the move as they want it to or as they try that to. So in the trembling equilibrium of a deadlock, it's a kind of deadlock. So they are in one way or other, they are inside that, they are imprisoned in that deadlock. And it's an exhortation. Of course, this paragraph also is an exhortation to realize, for women to realize. On the part of Ciso, it is an exhortation. It's a kind of she is giving the notion of what is happening, or don't be in one way or other, please don't fail yourself, or don't be confused with this movement. The reason for you to have this the surface level immobility or the visible immobility is this itself. That is, at that same time you are attempting to move forward. There is an established force that is trying to take you back to the former state of passivity, and that's why you cannot step forward as you wish it to. But it's not about giving up is not needed. You have to try. So that will find, of course, obviously that will find an answer, or a result will be assured, and that is what she says, and she's very particular about it. She's very confident about it, and that's the strength of this essay also. Next paragraph, she says, here they are returning, arriving over and again, because the unconscious is impregnable. They have wandered around in circles, confined to the narrow room in which they have been given a deadly brainwashing. So of course but still they will not fail. She says they are returning, arriving over and over again, because the unconscious is impregnable. In whatever way you try to brainwash a woman, how long you have been, for long centuries, for long years, you have been trying to imprison the potential of the woman, skill of the women. They have been inside the chains or circles of the household duties. But there is a time, this is a time, obviously there will be a time when they start realizing their potential, and then you will not be able to make her completely chained inside. So this brainwashing also will have a limit. So she says it's unconscious, that unconscious is impregnable, that has its own potential as a human being, whether a woman or man. So there is a limit for you to brainwash and make her being curtailed inside this chain or circle. You can incarcerate them. You can incarcerate means again imprison. That term means imprison them, slow them down, get away with the old apartheid routine, but for a time only. So that is the same thing, the same limit she talks about. You may be able to imprison them for the time being, but it's not forever. There will be a limit for that as well. As soon as they begin to speak, at the same time as they are taught their name, they can be taught that their territory is black, because they are you are Africa, you are black. So this is the way we are getting interpolated subjects. We know that notion actually from gender trouble, that is even later when Butler takes it from Marxist criticism, interpolation, how we are appropriating ourselves into the the notion of subject that is given by a system, and we assume that we appropriate that. But this is the time, there is a time for stopping all those and coming forward. And she talks about the same thing here. You are taught, you can teach them like, this is your name, this is your origin, this is your essence, you are black, you are African, so there is a limit for your potential. All these are the lessons they have been trying to instill in us, but that is no longer needed, or that is not actually necessary for you to take for granted. That's what she says. It's time for you to come out of those shells. Then your continent is dark. Another lessons given by this. Your continent is dark. Dark is dangerous. You can't see anything in the dark. You're afraid, don't move, you might fall. Most of all, don't go into the forest. And so we have internalized this horror of the dark. So dark is bad. Dark as a in that part it works as a symbol of all the fears that all the kind of fear that has been, all sorts of fear that has been instilled inside the woman whenever she tries to make a step of her own. It's not just about the darkness or the color dark or the identity of being an African. Of course, women who belong to other nationalities, or even the black white binary, if you talk about, even then you can talk about women who are imprisoned, whose unconscious, conscious, subconscious, everything is imprisoned for just her being a woman. So in that regard they are double, there is a double bind or double marginalization. You can talk about the double marginalization there in the case, but here darkness, so in that case it stands of obviously as a symbolic representation of all kind of fear that is instilled inside a woman's consciousness, irrespective of her being black or white or the caste, whether high caste or low caste. Many other differentiations are there. But being a woman, of course, in the context of Medusa, the essay by Ciso, of course, this kind of a womanhood, she, or at least in this part, she talks about the fear that is instilled inside a woman's consciousness. Okay, so that's all with that part. Thank you.